Hey there! Thanks for tuning in to Duck Bricks. I'm Chris and welcome to another Top 10 LEGO minifigure video, the show where we count down the best of the best LEGO minifigures from all years of LEGO history. We kicked things off with 2021, counted our way all the way down to 2017, and now we are at the best non-collectible minifigures of 2016. And I do want to specify that I am separating out CMFs versus non-CMFs just because of the difference in quality and because they're kind of two different separate lines. So today we are focusing on the top 10 best minifigures of 2016 that appeared in standard retail sets. And so, again, I do want to state that this is just my opinion. I would love to hear yours, so let me know down in the comments below after you see the video if you agree, if you disagree, and what are your personal favorite minifigures of 2016. And without further ado, let's just jump right into number 10. Kicking things off with number 10, we have an entrant from the LEGO Dimensions theme. This is E.T. the Extraterrestrial from the classic movie. Now, it's a very simple figure, which is why it's so low on the list, but honestly, I just feel like it captures the essence of the very iconic movie character pretty much perfectly in LEGO form. Right down to the specially sculpted head and the very simple printing on the body. I am just a big fan of the way this figure turned out, which is why it made it on the list. Moving on to number 9, we have an entry from the DC Superheroes theme. This is Blue Beetle. Now, Blue Beetle is a superhero that is actually getting a movie pretty soon, but when he first came out, it was based just off of the comics. The thing that really impresses me about this figure is not only the dual molded legs with the blue and black, but he also features a brand new back attachment piece with this sort of mantis or insectoid stingers. The piece has only been used for Blue Beetle so far, but it works perfectly and works absolutely great with the wing pieces, which returned from the Galaxy Squad series. I just really like the attention to detail featured in the mold itself. You can even see that there is a bit of a printing on the front, and even when removing all of the other accessories, the figure stands up very well on its own as well. So a lot of great detail to be seen here, and I really do like the printing, even though the plain dual molded legs probably could have used a little bit more detail in terms of prints on the front. With that though, let's now move on to number 8. Moving onwards to number 8, we have an entrant from LEGO Ninjago. This is the quote-unquote Cole RX form. What's very special about this figure is that he features specially transparent black arms with orange printing on the side, which is something that honestly has remained a staple of Ninjago's character with Cole even to this day, where he still features these transparent arms, at least in the TV show itself. The head was all new for the Day of the Departed wave, featuring the ghostly scar on the top of his head there, which was a great piece to get. Kind of do wish that that still remained one of his main heads because it was a great callback to when he was a ghost. And this is just a slightly modified version of the standard Day of the Departed honor robes. You'll notice he has just the standard armor pieces and whatnot, but he does actually have a bit of an energy effect around his emblem, which is really cool to see. Of course, removing the armor, turning it around. The back is very plain. To be honest, a little bit too plain for my liking. It's literally just a plain black torso. But then again, it was meant to be basically a callback to the previous first generation of Ninjago suits, so I understand why they did that. Really, to me though, the standout here are these special arms. I really wish that LEGO would have continued to use these in sets because they're just so cool to get and absolutely very useful for future Cole figures because he pretty much uses the same lava arms power throughout the rest of the show. With that, let's move on to number 7, and at number 7 we have another figure from the Dimensions line, this time from the sub-theme for Doctor Who. This is the Cyberman, and while I'm definitely not the biggest fan of this particular version of the Cyberman in the show, would have been really nice to get a classic-style Mondasian Cyberman or something like that, I still think it's a really cool figure with a fully metallic blend for the arms, legs, and torso, and a specially molded head to boot. This is pretty much the perfect representation of the Cyberman in minifigure form. I love the way that the head sculpt turned out, and while the body is maybe a little bit too close to, say, an Iron Man figure, I think it absolutely works for the more modern New Who version of the Cyberman, which of course are very iconic villains, and I'm glad that they were able to produce these incredibly famous villains from pop culture in LEGO form for Dimensions. But next up at number 6, LEGO Dimensions is really hitting it out of the park because we have the Stripe minifigure from the Gremlins sub-theme. Now this is truly a fantastically detailed figure, featuring the Stripe character with the special fawn style of legs, which are the digitigrade legs as featured from the collectible minifigure series Fawn. Stripe features arm printing on the sides of his arms, as well as a fully detailed head sculpt with some excellent painting patterns along these sides. I really love just how well they captured the character and essence of this particular creature with this minifigure. It truly is one of the most detailed figures we ever got out of Dimensions, and the reuse of the fawn legs was a treat to behold. Moving on though, let's take a look at number 5 as we reach the halfway point on this list. This figure right here is the Star Wars Death Trooper Commander from the Rogue One series. Now, I will be the first to admit I am a little biased here. When the design for the Death Troopers first was revealed for Rogue One, I was a massive fan of the entire design, from the all-black armor to the incredibly detailed helmet, just a really cool trooper design in general, which is why I love the minifigure so much. There's nothing necessarily special about the figure itself per se, other than the nice fabric pauldron, but honestly, I'm really just putting it on the list because I think the design for Death Troopers is just such a cool character design to have in Star Wars in general. I love the way that the armor detailing worked out on the black, having this kind of slightly faded white printing on the torso is really cool to get, and of course I chose the Commander because of the great pauldron, truly completing the look and feel of the figure itself. But for number 4, we return to LEGO Ninjago, specifically for the Skybound wave, taking a look at Nade Khan the Djinn. So Nade Khan was the main villain for Ninjago Season 6, and man does he have a fascinating character design. He essentially is supposed to be an evil genie or djinn type character, but with 4 arms and a fantastically detailed ghost trail down below. So Nade Khan was meant to be somewhat inspired by Middle Eastern fairy tales of jinns and genies, which you can see he has the large ponytail on the top of his head, and a very interesting expression which was very memorable for the TV show itself. Despite the character basically reusing molds that already existed for Ninjago characters in the past, namely the Stone Warrior mold for the General Kozu piece, as well as the Ghost Trail from the Season 5 wave, he pretty much was able to set his own complete look and feel for the character itself using just existing LEGO pieces. Skybound was a wave where I feel like LEGO cut down on cost a little bit in terms of mold design, which is why the main villain didn't actually feature any brand new molds other than the weapon of choice, which was the Djinn Blade, but all in all, I am a big fan of the way that the figure turned out. It's just such a menacing villain design and character, and I love the printing on the front of the armor with the Sky Pirates logo. Nade Khan is easily one of my favorite villains in all of Ninjago, both for his design and for his character, which is why he's making it on this list. With that though, let's now move on to our next pick. And at number 3, we have another licensed character. This is the Star Wars Rebels version of Ahsoka Tano. Now this is easily one of the rarest Star Wars figures ever, retailing for over hundreds of US dollars, which is absolutely insane. But it makes sense because this is probably one of the best iterations of the Ahsoka character we have ever gotten in LEGO form. The only major gripe I have about the way the figure is designed is really just the headpiece. As you can see, they reuse the very rubberized Shock T headpiece from the Clone Wars, which unfortunately is very easy to have the paint get scuffed up. I had the figure in my pocket for a day, and you can see the results. The blue paint is already fading on the tips of the montrails there. Otherwise though, the character is expertly designed. LEGO introduced a brand new lightsaber color for Ahsoka with the medium blue color, or the very light blue color, which of course probably would have made sense to just do in transparent clear because of the white sabers, but they were working off of concept artwork here, and despite it having a slightly cartoonish design for the torso, I really appreciate the amount of detail that went into the face and head. The blue eyes are very striking, and all in all, it is a great rendition of one of the most popular Star Wars characters to date. And for our number 2 pick, we have a figure from the LEGO Nexo Knights theme. Flama was one of the villains for the Magma Golems or Magma Warriors sub-theme of the Nexo Knights line, and man, does he look really cool. Now, LEGO actually released 2 different versions of Flama, this version and a more yellow-styled version, which was the Ultimate version, but surprisingly enough, I actually prefer the standard version here rather than the ultimate version, mostly because of the excellent transparent orange armor piece, as well as just the entire color scheme in general. I really like how this truly feels like a flame come to life, with the recolor of the Ninjago Ghost Trail piece being incredibly effective here in the transparent orange and red color scheme. It really does flow particularly well throughout the body, and the printing on the chest is really cool as well. Of course, he is reusing the Inferno headpiece from LEGO Ultra Agents, which I think worked out very well for this particular figure, and I also really enjoy how, again, they recolored one of these specialized armor pieces from Ninjago for the Stone Warriors in a transparent color, which is very rare. Speaking of recolors from Ninjago, Flama also reuses the Ghost Sword from Ninjago 2015, just recolored in a more flame-like aspect, which again, just truly completes the whole look and feel of the figure itself. This is easily one of my favorite Next to Night villain designs, and just look at how striking he is. It's no wonder he belongs second to the top on this list. But with that, we can now move on to our number 1 best non-collectible minifigure of 2016. And the honor goes to the incredibly detailed Silver Centurion Iron Man figure, which was a pre-order exclusive for buying one of the LEGO Marvel superhero games from GameStop. So this is easily probably the best Iron Man figure we have literally ever gotten to date. Now, he features a specialized head print featuring the bruise that we saw in Civil War, but that's not all, because not only does this figure have dual molded arms with printing on the arms, he also has printing on the legs, a special recolor of the Chima armor piece, which has never been printed before, specialized printing on the sides of his helmet, which also hadn't been printed before to this date, special tiles to represent the armor elements on the Chima armor piece, and all in all, just makes for one of the best figures that we've gotten pretty much ever from LEGO. Honestly, I feel like this is kind of the max amount of detail you can ever hope to get out of a single LEGO minifigure. Sure, the legs could have been dual molded if he needed to be, but honestly, beyond that, you can't really get any better than this. And I was honestly so impressed and shocked by the amount of insane detail featured on this figure. I really love just how seamless the printing on the sides of the arms are. You can really see how the red printing continues on the top to the silver bit, which really does make it feel like a fully seamless suit. Of course, the helmet itself actually has a modified version of the faceplate to have some printing on the flip-up visor, which is absolutely fantastic. And what's really great is that if you don't want to have the extra bulky armor piece on, you can simply take it off and he has the exact same printing underneath. All in all, this is easily the best Iron Man figure we've gotten and probably will ever get unless LEGO decides to actually change something up for future waves. This is just so incredibly detailed and is definitely my favorite figure from the entire year of 2016, and honestly, one of my favorite figures in general. The character of Iron Man is easily one of my favorites in pop culture, so this totally makes sense, but just look at the insane amount of detail on the arms and the legs. This is absolutely ludicrous in the amount of detail it achieves, and is easily one of the best Iron Man suits we have ever gotten. But with that, we have summed up our look at the best 2016 non-CMF minifigures, of course ending with the fantastic Silver Centurion Iron Man, which I really do wish got a much wider release. Very unfortunate how this was pretty much just linked to the LEGO Marvel's Avengers video game. If you didn't pre-order the game from GameStop in the US, you probably couldn't actually get this figure. Now, they did actually do some promotions just pretty recently, a couple of years ago. They were giving away excess stock of this figure just at any GameStop, but that again was very hard to get, which makes this figure one of the rarest on this list. Maybe not quite as rare as Ahsoka, but definitely up there in price.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up our look at my personal favorite, and in my opinion, the best minifigures that were not collectible minifigs of 2016. Again, this was just my opinion and I want to hear yours, so let me know down in the comments below, do you agree, do you disagree, and what are your personal favorites? Stay tuned for next time where we'll be covering the top 10 best collectible minifigs of 2016, and thank you so much for tuning into Duckbricks. Subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks and bye-bye for now.